Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm Judith, and today I'm going to do something that has been requested but I don't do very often. I'm going to bake something. So this is a Greek recipe. It is a walnut and cheese pie or cake. I'm not sure which it is. They call it a cake, but it looks more like a pie. Anyway, we have walnuts, which I'm going to grind up. Some very lovely local honey. I always hope for fireweed honey, but that's hard to find. So this is clover honey, but it is liquid honey. And mascarpone. You could use ricotta or another of those types of cheeses. They're basically a cottage cheese, but not the North American style that's lumpy and curdly and just, yeah. Good for some things, but not for this. And some lemon juice. So I've already made the pastry. We're going to roll it out and blind bake it, which will help it not get too soggy on the bottom. Although this really shouldn't get soggy on the bottom anyway. But it'll make for a much nicer pie. And I have a couple of choices when I get this rolled out as to what to put it in. You could use a flan dish. I do not have one. So I just have a regular, what is this guy, 8-inch? 9-inch pie plate. Or I do have this wonderful thing, which is a flan dish that I was given as a gift. So you can just push your pie out when you're done. But this makes individual ones, but they're a fairly good size. So I really didn't want to go with something that big. With the pie plate, you can cut individual wedges to your own desired size. So I thought we'd go with just the pie plate. So we've got our pie plate lined. We're just going to trim off the excess. And this is a one crust pie, so we don't need to have a lot to make a fancy edge. In fact, I'm thinking we just want a clean edge here. I did a video previously on pie crust, so I will put a link to that one if you want to know my recipe for pie crust. There we go. I just want a nice clean edge if I can get that. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to poke some holes in the bottom. And take a piece of parchment paper and place inside. And in the parchment paper, we are going to put some beans. You can use any kind of beans you happen to have on hand. Just remember, once you've used them for this, you can't use them for anything else. They are no longer any good for cooking with. So I'm just going to fill this with some kidney beans to weigh it down, and then we'll get a nice flat pie crust. If you don't weigh it down, and especially if, like me, you use baking powder in your pie dough, you are going to end up with a lumpy crust, which we don't want. So now we're going to put it in 300-degree oven until it's cooked, but not browned. After 15 to 20 minutes, take it out of the oven. Carefully remove your parchment paper and beans. Set them aside. And you want to store the beans in a separate container because, like I said, you can't use them for cooking now. Now we're going to take, the edges are done, but the bottom is still soft. So we are going to put it back in. for another 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes, and the bottom is now lovely. Let this cool a little before you fill it. And since the pie crust is already baked, we don't have to bake our pie for that long, which is a good thing because our cheese might have an issue with that. So let's get started on the filling while this cools. All right, so I have a 475 gram tub of mascarpone. I'm not going to use it all, so I don't think I will. It's all trying to come out. I'm going to soften that up a little bit. And we're going to mix in, oops, let me get a little strainer because there's seeds in there. About a tablespoon of lemon juice. That's basically the juice of half a lemon. Walnuts to the side there so we're not accidentally spilling them. And we want a little bit of cinnamon. So we're going with about half a teaspoon of cinnamon. In. And then we want 3 tablespoons of honey. Nice liquid honey. There we go. Make sure you clean the rim of the jar off well before you close it back up, or you're not ever getting it open again. I think we need a little more lemon juice in this because it's rather stiff. Let's see. I do want it pourable, so I think we do need to squeeze out the other half of that lemon. And add this slowly because you don't want to overdo it and end up with it too thin. There we go. 2 beaten eggs. So let's mix this in. There we go. That is looking about proper consistency. Yeah, not too thin, but still pourable. There we go. So remember the 300 grams of walnuts we had, and then we put them through the food processor. We're going to sprinkle them in the bottom here and make a lovely layer. You may not want to use all of the walnuts, but you definitely want a good thick layer down there. Okay, I think that's good. And then we are going to pour in our cheese mixture. Now we're going to put our pie in the oven at 350 degrees, same temperature we just baked our crust at, until it's set. And how are you going to tell? Because it looks set already. So it's going to be about 30 minutes. Something lovely for dessert. Put it on a pretty plate, a little macerated raspberries to go on top, and you have a beautiful dessert. Let's have a little taste here. Lovely and light and not sweet. For those of you who don't like sweets, it's perfect. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great evening and enjoy your dessert.